Hi, guys. I'm Lauren. You may remember me from last semester's episodes of Off the Air. I am here to welcome you guys to a whole new set of crew and cast. This week, we're going to be talking about all things spooky. I want to give you guys a little reminder that you can always come and join us at More Media Records in room 184, 182. It's a combo room. And thanks for tuning in. Give it a good listen.
Awesome.
So everyone, we're gonna go off, list our names. I'm Hunter. I like for like horror movies, I'd probably say A Quiet Place. That's pretty good.
I'm Jolie. One of my favorite movies is The Scream. Yeah.
My name is Jadyn, and my favorite horror movie genre, I think, is American Horror Story, the whole season. So,
My name is Anna, and I guess my favorite horror movie is Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
My name is Kendall, and my favorite horror movie is also Scream.
says a lot about a person, I think, what favorite horror movie
Yeah.
is what.
Yeah.
I love horror movies just in general. They're just
I'm
a fan.
50-50 with them, sometimes yeah, sometimes no. I don't like being scared, really, so.
I may be a little baby, but like I don't like all like the bloody, gross stuff.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Speaking about Scream, wasn't there like an actual case, like a murder case involved?
Yeah.
in, like,
I do.
Scream? I think so.
I wrote an essay about this. I can tell.
Yeah.
It was the there was I'm blanking on the name, but there was like a serial killer case that the screenwriter Kevin Williamson kind of based some of it off of. I cannot remember the name for the life of me.
When?
Sometime in pre-90s.
Oh my
And then
gosh.
I
Yeah.
remember there was like two kids who tried to reenact like some of the scenes, and they actually killed a girl, which
Oh my
was
gosh.
screwed up.
Oh.
That happened with the
No
Slenderman
way.
stuff too. Remember that?
Oh,
my
that stuff
God.
In the
scared me
woods.
freakless when I was a kid. I could not do Slenderman, dude.
Too scary.
One thing I love about Scream is the soundtrack and the fact that it plays such an important role in the movie. Probably my favorite song from that is Red Right Hand. It literally describes like the Scream killer. It like talks about like a guy in a black coat like walking around with a red right hand. So like blood, like murder. And so
Yeah.
it's like,
Not like a red glove.
I mean, it could be, but in the movie he's murdering.
Didn't watch the movie. I don't know.
Yeah, there does. Yeah. So
Yeah. Also like in the movie, like I don't know if I was just listening to like the soundtrack from the movie of just like when they were like killing people, you know,
Yeah.
like but the one it's like chasing Sydney, and I was listening to that like just like in the dining hall like with my headphones in, and I feel like it really just like makes you feel like you're in the movie, like because I was like turning around, I was like, is there someone behind me? I feel like they really made it play with the characters and everything really well.
what other horror soundtracks do we like?
Not really like soundtracks. I'd prefer songs. We
Same.
talked about
Oh,
it
yeah,
before,
yeah,
but like
yeah.
Don't Fear the Reaper
Mm-hmm.
is fire.
Yeah.
You have the Goosebumps theme.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
That's
great,
super
yeah.
good.
That used to scare the crap out of me when I was a kid. Every time I turn on an episode, that Goosebumps music, like,
Gave her chills.
no, it really did.
Playing its part.
The song from Nightmare Before Christmas, the like beginning song or whatever, I really
Yeah.
like that song.
This is Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
It's a
Halloween.
classic.
Yeah.
Play that at schools. and
Dude,
stuff.
all of those claymation movies are terrifying. I refuse to watch those. It's like Coraline,
I love
Um,
Coraline.
then
Oh my
Frank and
goodness.
Weenie. That was another one.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
Then
goodness.
this like Nightmare Before Christmas.
yeah.
So you have a thing against Tim Burton, is what I'm hearing.
How dare
No.
you, man?
More so about like stop motion clay.
What about
Yeah.
Wallace and Gromit?
You
that
just
was-
asked
on the
me
sheep?
That one's fine, but in like the right setting, it could be very wrong.
Yeah.
But it's not stop motion though. Like the Lego movie, that was good.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know.
Those are
Yeah.
like so hard to make. Like they
They
take
are.
forever.
I respect them a lot.
Yeah.
I love
Mhm.
animation majors for sure.
Is anybody gonna be listening to Somebody's Watching Me, Michael Jackson, and
Michael Jackson, what a king.
who's that
man.
other guy in it? I forgot his name. I gotta look it up.
I was listening to that on the way here, and I loved like the little electric piano or whatever it
Mhm.
is. There's like
Yeah.
always piano in horror
Yeah.
music. Like I was listening to it. I think there was it in that one. Shit, I was starting to think of other songs, but then like all that can pop in my head right now is like the sirens from Ghostbusters.
Oh,
So that's fogging
yeah.
out any other thought. So if you think of any piano, just like list it off.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think it's a really cool component in horror movies that like either you could have like the singular keys being like the dun dun dun, or like the hard piano just like whoa,
Or
and
the
it just
organ.
like it's the running or the creeping, and it just like it's such like a sound motion thing,
Yeah.
which is really cool.
The
so.
Halloween theme.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one.
Yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was listening to that one too.
Or Psycho. That I feel like
Oh,
that's
yeah.
like so iconic, like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So like yeah.
I think it's cool how like movies and like their producers make like a trademark with the music too. You know,
Yeah.
like you just like hear a song, and you're like, oh my god, it's that movie. So
Yeah.
it's cool how they do
Mhm.
that too.
What do you think stands out more, like the mascot, like the face of like Jason from Friday the 13th, or like the puppet from Saw, Jigsaw, or do you think like the music stands out more?
I'd probably say the music. Like, at least for the people that watched it, but people that haven't watched it, they'd probably say like the masks and like
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that because you like everyone sees like pictures of that. Whereas
Yeah.
like if you've seen the movie, you hear the music, and you're like, oh, that's from that movie. You know?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting too, like the music, even if you haven't seen it, like I've never seen the original Halloween, but that theme, like if I hear it, I know it's from that movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's from the 70s, so I wasn't alive then. So
Yeah.
it's crazy
True,
that
yeah.
like I can pick that up.
Yeah, like
It-
if I see a Jason mask, I don't really want to go ahead and watch Friday the 13th. But if I then hear like the music,
Mhm.
then it kind of gets me ready to actually watch
So
the
it's
show.
a hook. That's funny.
Yeah.
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 I feel like the masks are just mass produced all the time. You know, like you see them in Party City, you see them in like other stores. You're like, okay, you know.
Oh, no, my
The music is like so it's so interesting because it's so well thought out to like put that in your mind of like this
Mhm.
is this scene or this character
Mhm.
or this movie, and then you
Mhm.
think about it for literally decades after.
Yeah.
I think that's so interesting, like
And-
the effects of music.
And just like you said, the music also is like subliminally like hinting to certain things, like "Don't Fear
Mhm.
the Reaper" by Blue Oyster Cult. You know, that's kind of hinting towards like one of the main characters becoming
Yeah.
the Reaper. You know.
Mhm.
Hey, yo, can I interrupt?
Yeah.
Hi guys. So have you guys ever considered, I know in my BCA classes at least, we have talked about sound engineers and people
Mhm.
that make sounds for horror movies, specifically like using string and a saw or something like tapping on like linoleum just to sound like somebody is crawling away. Have you guys ever considered that as like a career
That is
path?
a whole career. That comes up on my TikTok all the time, and I
Yeah.
think it's so cool.
I've actually never really thought about that. Like
Yeah.
I've like known about it, but I never
Yeah.
like thought like, wow, someone really just does that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's really cool actually.
Like makes murder sound effects for a living.
Yeah.
Casually, just bring that up.
Yeah,
in the
Or it's just like
conversation.
in regular movies, you see someone like cutting onions in the
Mhm.
movie, but
Yeah.
then it's actually someone like in a recording studio, like
Yeah.
just slicing
Amplifying
on
it.
Yeah.
like symbols or something.
Yeah.
I think
weird.
it's called a Foley artist, if I'm
Mhm.
That
not.
sounds about
yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. They do
Yeah.
like the footsteps too.
Yeah,
like,
it's
they'll
always
just
like
be
the feet in the sand, and you're like,
Yeah.
wow.
Oh yeah, I saw that on A
Yeah.
Quiet Place. That was like
Mhm.
all about
Huge,
the
yeah.
sound effects,
Yeah.
and that was crazy.
Mhm.
Because no one like thinks about that. Like you see someone walking and you think it's coming from their feet,
From
but
them.
it's
Yeah.
not like.
Because it'd be
So
so
weird.
normal, which is
Yeah.
what they want you to think anyway.
I
Mhm.
guess
But
the sound doesn't pick up as well, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like you almost have to use your imagination with it a little bit. Like when you have those sound effects, it's almost exaggerating what your brain would think is like
Exactly.
a
Yeah.
footstep, because a footstep, like I feel, would be more boring than this slightly off-putting sound.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They make them sound so crisp, but it's actually muffled, you know, when you actually walk.
So, what do you all think makes a good horror music theme for like a horror movie?
Organs.
Mm.
wow.
Those are
Those good
spooky.
characters.
Can I join in again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that it has to fit the theme. So like you were talking about with Scream being super 90s, like,
Mhm.
oh my god, that soundtrack gives me 90s.
Yeah.
Versus like I was just talking with our friend in the booth, Alex, about Donnie Darko. That's one of my favorite classic Halloween movies. It's not as spooky, more just kind of weird, but it's got a very fitting soundtrack that's very much 80s because it's set in the 80s. So it's got a lot of really great stuff. Particularly wanted to highlight The Killing Moon is just a classic Halloween song. I hear it, I get in the vibes, I'm ready to go. But it's all about fitting that theme, fitting what's going on with the
Yeah.
horror movie. Like, have you guys seen maybe Fear Street?
Yeah.
No.
So this one has like 3 different soundtracks because it's 3 different eras, and I love that.
Oh,
I think that you can really
yeah.
like play into the eras with
Yeah.
Yeah.
horror music.
Mhm.
Also, just Season of the Witch
I was gonna
Ever.
talk about
Oh,
that.
yeah.
and
Season of
Always.
the Witch.
So I'll let you.
Such a good
continue
song.
with
That is immediately hear it. It's like spooky season.
Yeah.
October 1st.
He gives me
Yep.
more fall vibe.
I think and then going off of that, like the Halloween soundtrack, like obviously that was made like late 70s, and I think like the first song I clicked on it was like this. I don't even know how to, just very like electric and like oh, I just hit the microphone. Oh, sorry. But like just very
Yeah.
interesting.
I think it also like depends on like the how like scary the movie is or whatever, you know,
Mhm.
like because like the soundtrack like to the Scream is like completely different to like what it would be in like The Nightmare Before Christmas, you know, like
Yeah.
because they're just such like different movies. They have like they use different instruments and different like everything pretty much for the songs.
Yeah.
I feel like.
It's also interesting because I think that like with A Quiet Place, there's also horror movies that use like the lack of sound
Yes.
to like make it scarier. Where
Yeah.
you're like, I hear nothing right now. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Something's coming.
Yeah.
I also feel that way too, where well, in a different sense, I think the lyrics, like the artist writes, and then compared to like the situation of the movie has like
Mhm.
something big to do with it.
Mhm.
Something that really scares me and puts me on edge is like a really happy, innocent scene with like the happy music, and you're like, nah, this doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
And then it scares you even more.
Yeah.
But then compared to like the opposite of that, where it's like scary and like you hear like dun 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 dun, just like
Mhm.
the lyrics are just like, watch out, you're gonna die, and you're like, yeah. So
Yeah.
Yeah, you already see it coming. Besides,
Yeah.
like those happy moments.
Which do you think is scarier, like scary music or no music? You know, like
that's
in
tough.
like I think it's called Hush or something.
yeah,
yeah.
I've seen that
There's
one.
like no music because they have to like be silent, or
Mhm.
like compared to like Halloween and like Scream and stuff, like where there's like very much like harsh, scary music.
Honestly, I don't know. Like, there's sometimes the composer will make certain like they'll compose certain melodies that will actually like give you shivers,
Mhm.
and like I don't like that.
Yeah.
They'll just tweak some notes here and there that like actually is just very off-putting. So I think
Yeah.
the music for me.
Yeah, but then when you have like the lack of music, they can give that equally like off-putting sound that you're talking about, but it just
Mhm.
comes out of nowhere, and you're like, oh my gosh, what's going on?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I'm team no music. I agree with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Or when they use both, where it's like there's music and then all of a sudden it's silent. You're like, oh,
Mhm.
something's going on.
The
Like,
cut
what-
off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I wanted to talk about? Kind of off topic, but on topic. There's a horror Winnie the Pooh movie
I've
Oh,
seen
coming
yeah.
out. So we could rope that in with the music. What type of music is going to be played in that? It can't be Disney because that's like
Oh,
a
Isn't it
popular-
called
God.
Blood and Honey or something?
Yes.
Oh my god, that's insane.
Who makes it?
So-
Like, is it by Disney?
No,
Oh, okay.
so I guess like the rights came out so like anyone can use it.
Okay.
And now someone like as soon as that was announced, they went on and then made
Oh
this
my
slasher
gosh.
film.
Oh my gosh.
So we'll see what happens, but I feel like there could be a lack of sound, and then they might just do like a honey sound effect, and someone gets murdered.
Yeah.
I
Is
don't
it
know.
rated PG or is it like an R movie?
Oh, it's gonna be
Yeah.
R.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
PSA,
Good
they didn't
question.
add Tigger in there because Tigger is copyrighted, but
Okay.
No
Um,
way.
Winnie the Pooh and Piglet, I
No,
don't think
not
they're
Piglet.
licensed, so
Hmm.
anyone
Okay.
can use them. They're public domain.
I think it'd be really cool if they used like creepy happy music,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
like because it's
Getting
like a
that vibe.
Disney movie. So if they made it like
Yeah.
like what is there? Oh, like kind of like Annabelle, where it's like I think Annabelle does that, where it's like I could be wrong, but
Yeah.
where it's like gives like happy like laughing sounds, but
Mhm.
then it's like
Sounds about
they're
right.
gonna like kill
yeah.
you, like
That like jewelry box, like wind up
Yes.
box music, where in the
hate
like, yeah,
yeah.
they
That is the
definitely
worst.
they use that in The Conjuring.
Okay, that could be what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah.
Dude,
Right.
those sounds like they make me feel like a knife's just gonna come out. And I hate like knives when they get close to like eyes, like that's really
Mhm.
specific, but like
Yeah.
nails, that grosses me out
Mhm.
so much. I don't mind like a gun in a movie, but knives, ew.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Do you think since most of the horror movies were made in like the 80s around that, do you think that caused like partially satanic panic, when most parents were
Yeah,
like
I
afraid,
think so.
Yeah.
Mm.
I could just be making this up, but like I know Twisted Sister was, I think they were around in the 80s.
Yeah.
They had like that big scandal with them like releasing their album and then it getting called like bad, like I don't know if it was satanic music or if it was like drugs were involved in that or just something, but they had a lot of controversy. And I feel like that and like the music industry and like coming off of like Black Sabbath from like the 60s and 70s then led to this horror movie and everything getting intertwined with this media controversy.
I feel like rock in general, going back, has always been some type of controversy where it's like, it's bad for our kids.
Always, yeah.
It's the devil's music.
Mhm.
And so I definitely think the 80s was, because the 80s were like making slasher movies like, that was Halloween set that up and they just went.
Pose. I'm so sorry. Do
Go
you
for
think
it.
that like spooky iconography has taken a different turn in these new age indie artists that love skeletons, that love bones, that love the spooky things? Like Phoebe Bridgers, of course, is who I'm thinking of off the top of my head. But there is a lot of like goth and emo bands of right now that are getting on TikTok or getting on YouTube and posting a lot of things that have to do with like dark, scary content, but then you find that their crowd is young girls, very like innocent people, and it kind of feels the opposite of the 80s where it was like you wanted to be hardcore, so you were hardcore. Now all the hardcore people have gone a little softer. How do we feel about that?
Machine Gun Kelly popped into my head.
No.
I don't know. I
I
feel
say
like
I don't know
that's-
if it's like the same, but like Billie Eilish kind of came
Yeah.
in my head,
That
where
came to
it's
mind
kind of
too.
like that like more eerie like
Yeah, that's a good word.
pop music, I guess.
Mhm.
Like I don't know what exactly genre she is, but
I think she's mostly pop.
yeah,
Mhm.
Grunge,
But
maybe,
she
if
doesn't
you
like
will.
sing like outlet. Like her singing is more like quieter and like
yeah,
like kind of that.
Yeah.
I don't know how
Yeah.
they put it, but I think so. So yeah.
I wonder if it all could also like, obviously music I think reflects its time, and so if we look at the time, I think people are all just very stressed out and
Yeah.
maybe pretty sad, so I feel like that's their outlet is like,
Mhm.
I'm gonna do Bridgers.
yeah,
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
that's
And I
good.
feel like also with artists like Billie Eilish, she could do like a little bit of everything. She could
Mhm.
play like happy pop, but then she could do sad, and then she could do like some weird, like almost Halloween vibes, like
Yeah.
ukulele music,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
you don't know what's going on.
Party
Yeah.
favor?
Yeah, there's like so much stuff that they do, and it's. I feel like now we have more acceptance for artists to be
Mhm.
themselves
Yeah,
and
I
to like
agree.
break the mold rather than like you play scary music, you like My Chemical Romance, Mance, you're gonna play like emo music. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel like, of course, like the young people are just gonna like gravitate towards that. They're like, yes,
Yeah.
like let me express my feelings,
Mhm.
like sing about it, like I'll be your biggest fan, you know. So
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
It is interesting though, because like emo in the early 2000s was a little bit, and like even the later 2000s was, it was still kind of, I guess that like pop punky like whining sound, and so it is interesting how it's like softened out,
Yeah.
where
Mhm.
like people are sad but they're not like yelling at people. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like
Yeah.
the 80s or even then, like it's, I feel like it's so much, that seems so much louder. If that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Now it's more like I feel like toned down, like
Yeah.
music.
I think of it like the 80s was like they're projecting all their guitars and then they're like really like having the ballads and full on singing.
Yeah.
Where then we then lead into like the 90s and then we get grunge, which then
Mhm.
like alternates it. But then we also get like Green Day, which is then just everything's turned all the way up. And then now it's just like, boom, what do we do now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like now songs are and like artists are a lot more lyrical than they are instrumental. I feel like we're back in like the 60s, 70s, 80s. It was more instrumental than it was like lyrical.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's from like being able to do online production so
Mhm.
easily. And since it's like quality music is really easy to make for your indie bands and artists, where it's like they can make really good songs at home on their computer, equally as musically talented as other people, but like they may not be so keen on improvising because they're used to that behind the computer atmosphere. So like 60s, 70s, 80s.
They did not have SoundCloud in the 60s.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They didn't have like, yeah.
You actually had to be musically inclined, like, talented.
Mhm.
You couldn't just like start something in your room. You could, but like it was much more harder. You have to have a musical ear.
Yeah. As I say, I think our generation is definitely a lot more like open to new artists and stuff. Like you can like even like TikTok starting up
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
new artists and stuff. Whereas like back then it was like a lot harder to be like a startup new artist. You had to be like
Yeah.
discovered by someone to have that happen.
Yeah. You had to play in like a crappy venue.
Mm-hmm.
Always
Garage
work
band.
your way.
And then
I-
now you can play like Old Town Road and like random
Right.
cowboy song and
No.
then make banger music after that.
I think the lines of genres have kind of blurred. 'Cause I think
Mhm.
one thing I'd love to talk about is the way pop music has changed, and I feel like the definition of pop music has changed
Oh,
from
for sure.
especially like the early 2000s, like Britney Spears and
Yeah.
Christina Aguilera. Was that am
Yeah.
I correct?
Yeah.
Genie in a bottle. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the same thing kind of happened with indie music too a little bit. It definitely turned into a lot like pop indie.
I agree.
Mhm.
So
I think that I feel like indie now, instead of it actually being like the word like shortened for independent, like people making music on their own, is now just like a sound
It is a
or
sound.
an
yeah.
aesthetic.
Yeah.
An aesthetic, yeah. It's not
definitely
like
aesthetic.
that even happens with movies where it's like, oh, indie, like this is indie, but also like here's a huge budget that we gave you.
Mhm.
So it,
Question:
yeah.
How do we feel about fall album drops versus winter versus
Ooh.
spring? I feel like
Fall
fall's a
always
good
hits
time.
harder,
Yeah.
Yeah.
in my
Yeah.
opinion.
I
I
feel
just feel like
Mhm.
it's a new era. And you're just like,
Mhm.
you know.
I feel like fall has like I want to say like a softer vibe kind of because it's like latte weather, you know, like so I feel
For
like it kind of
sure.
has that vibe whereas like summer is more like upbeat, I'd
Mhm.
say probably. So
Weezer did like multiple albums going straight into this
Mhm.
where they're doing like one for winter, one for summer, and they all have different vibes and they're like pushing the envelope on like what their sound has been before. And it feels really weird to like hear what their interpretation of summer is. And it's like each album, like this is a hot take, they're each kind of mid with some good songs on there.
Not
Like
a hot take.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
really not a hot take. People don't like Weezer, you know.
I
Yeah.
feel like fall is like sad season.
Yes.
Like immediately, like once it starts to get cold and the leaves change, like you wear your sweaters and your jackets and you get like a hot coffee and you listen to Phoebe Bridgers or you listen to Red by Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion.
Winter is like that's when
Yeah.
the sad boy music comes
Yeah,
out.
for me
for
too,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Except for like the break for Christmas.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
happy
Happy
music.
Christmas break.
Christmas
and then you go.
music.
Oh yeah, we got to
Here's
do
my
an
hot
episode on
take.
Christmas music.
Not a really big fan of Christmas music, but you know,
Really?
That's a
there's a
hot
good
take.
there's a good week where I let it slide.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
I do like 4 days before Christmas and then it's
yeah,
just-
I can't do
Hot
anymore
take.
after
I
that.
cannot stand Mariah Carey's
Ooh, that is a hot
All I
take.
Want for Christmas Is You. I really can't stand it anymore.
That's a hot take.
That's a
Very hot.
Christmas
a
music
jam.
all year round is like the
Mhm.
only way to do it.
Do you guys
Um,
do you guys
I'm not-
listen to like Halloween music? Like around, like everyone listens to Christmas music.
Yeah,
Do you like
not
sit in your car and
specifically,
listen
no.
to Halloween music?
Is there Halloween music? Is
Well,
the
like
question.
there's
Yeah.
soundtracks to Halloween
That's true.
playlist, you know, like I don't know. Or Halloween movie soundtracks.
Yes. Yes. I'm here to say yes.
Yeah.
Like, straight up, I will listen to spooky music any time of the year. And I think that there is a specific kind of Halloween music versus spooky music. There's spooky winter
Yes.
music, there's spooky summer music, but Halloween
Mm.
music can be enjoyed all year round, but is particularly chef's kiss
What is
around
like
fall.
the number one artist you consider for Halloween music? I'm curious.
Ooh.
Artist? I'm not sure that I have like a specific artist that seems spooky to me. I think I just have compiled a bunch of songs that give me spooky energy
Yes.
That's fair.
and then I put them into a playlist.
Yeah.
I don't know, Metallica gives me Halloween. It
Yeah,
does. I guess
yeah,
if
let's
I'm gonna
go.
go with an artist, yeah, like that's probably who I'd stick with. Phoebe Bridgers, you know, you
Yep.
and me, we've been that way. But other than that, I feel like it's more songs, like individual
Mhm.
songs.
Yeah.
I love the way that Phoebe Bridgers kind of I don't think trademark is the right word, but the way that she's kind of created this image of like the ghost, like the chic ghost and like the skeleton, and I feel like it's used all year round. So I feel she really is that like Halloween artist because
Yeah.
those are traditionally Halloween symbols.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's just sad and spooky.
What I was like surprised by is I was listening to a Halloween playlist on the way here on my phone, and I saw they had The Weekend
Interesting.
Really?
Blinded by the Light on there.
No
And I
way.
was like, I could kind of see it, but it'd have to be like deep in
Yeah.
the playlist when you're like running
Where the
out
vibe
of
is set.
music.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, I could kind of hear it, but like Thriller, that's
I-
Halloween.
yeah.
For sure.
Blinded by the Light, I don't know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah,
Have-
I wouldn't consider that Halloween music,
I don't
but
think I would either.
like to know who made that playlist.
I feel like Michael Jackson. If we're talking about
Michael
artists
Jack
that give us
Thriller
Halloween,
album.
I think he's like
Yeah,
a trademark if we're
Mhm.
talking
Halloween,
right up there with Phoebe, you know?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm gonna have to say, when I was little, the Thriller music video scared the crap out of me. When he turned into the wolf,
Oh,
no.
yeah.
The zombies were terrifying.
Yeah.
The way they're dancing with the arms flailing and stuff, I hated it.
My older sister, every time she came home, had a Justin. Oh my God, sorry, not Justin. Michael Jackson Just Dance. So me and her would just ball out to those songs, and I like grew up on those. Always, it was fun.
Another one that came up on like a Halloween podcast was Billie Jean.
Yeah,
So by Michael
it's
Jackson.
probably one of my
Billie
favorites by
Jean.
him.
Yeah.
sure.
Mhm.
I was like, you know what? I can see it. Like I can
Mhm.
see the
The kid is not my son. That is scary. You know? I'm just saying.
yeah.
Final question.
Yep.
What are you being for Halloween this
Ooh.
year? Go around the table.
So, period. I'm dressed up right now. Note around the table list, but that's okay. I'm Princess Bubblegum. You guys probably can't see, but that's my little Dr. Bonnabelle, my $15 Target dress. So, yeah, sticking with that.
I'm actually not sure yet. I have like 12 different ideas, so still trying to
Okay.
decide a couple.
Top 3.
I will. Some of my friends are talking about being fairies, and then I wanted to. I was also talking about being Buzz Lightyear and Mater with one of my other
Oh.
friends. Or not Buzz Lightyear. Oh my gosh, Lightning McQueen. Sorry,
It's
like
an
Oh.
interesting
Oh.
combination.
Across the universe.
And then I forgot what the other one was, but I don't know. I had a couple ideas, so.
That's sick. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but like Alice in Wonderland.
Mhm.
I wanna
Never
be-
heard of it.
Oh shit.
So underground.
Yeah.
The Mad Hatter.
Nice.
Yes,
so into
I
yeah.
can see it for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was at for Halloween when I was like 10. Fun fact.
Do you
I
have
made,
the costume? What it
I
fit
made
me?
my own costume. Actually, that was when I learned how to sew. So
I was gonna say, I was
That's sick.
Alice before.
Oh.
With my little stuffed dog who was
I
sewed
feel
up.
like that suits you. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I have 3 in mind right now because Halloween is a long weekend, I think, this
Mhm.
year.
It is.
But actually, kind of going full circle here, one of my Halloween costumes I want to do is Drew Barrymore in the beginning of Scream.
I love
Mhm.
that.
So, and then another one was okay. So, if you're a One Direction fan, as I am, there's an episode of like the James Corden show where they're Corden's angels playing basketball, and I kind of want to dress up as like Harry Styles when he was like Corden's angel.
That's
so
so
I don't know if anyone
specific,
knows.
but so fun.
Yeah.
Is it supposed to be terrifying?
No.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say.
So, and then I was thinking about being, if anyone has seen the Royal Tannenbaums, Margot Tannenbaum. Yeah.
I had a couple ideas. Well, I was thinking either being Saul Goodman or
Nice.
Walter White. You know.
That'd be a good one.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking of because I saw at the store I went to Spirit Halloween recently, and they had a hazmat, like the yellow suit, and I was like, oh my god, I could be like when they're cooking meth in the lab. Like, that would be pretty funny. But that was just my idea.
You could give out like blue jello.
Yes,
That would be
that's
sick.
easy. I could like get blue Jolly Rancher.
We're gonna wrap up today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in to our first episode of the semester on More Media Records Off the Air podcast. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're feeling spooky. Feel free to join us for More Media Records Thursdays at 7:30 in More 184, 192. Thank you guys again.
Listening.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.